This is what it does. It just spins. Oh, I'm live. Okay. I've gone live again. We'll see if people are in this time. My goodness. You'd think that they would make it more user-friendly. Although I don't think it was my fault. It just wouldn't go live. Hey, everybody. Can everybody see me now? Can you see me, husband?
No, it still says waiting.
It still says waiting. Can anybody else see me live? Hello, is anybody out there? I don't know why it still says waiting like that. Oh, you got it? Just have like a time delay?
I don't know how far behind I am.
Okay, well, I did it. Yay. Yeah, there's a chat. Okay, my goodness. Live chat so I can see everybody. I mean, I've never gone live on my computer before, and I've been working on it for the past hour, and I'm like, I'm ready. And then I go live, and then it just spins, and then it doesn't let anybody in. And so we did it. Now that's more like it. Okay, I'm going live from my computer, and I'm doing that for a little bit of a surprise later. And I have a lot more features if I go live from a computer, even though the camera's backwards. Like what it's showing there is actually there for me. I'm gonna have to get an actual web camera. I'm just using my computer camera. So hey everybody, rolling in. I'm gonna make some tea. I had already started that last time, but I already put it in there. I'm just gonna do that Moonlight White again from Yunnan Sourcing. I like any good Moonlight White tea. You know what's really weird is that, like, I know I'm actually looking the other way, but it's showing me looking that way. It's like a weird mirror. It's a weird mirror situation going on here. It doesn't do that on my phone, I think. Okay, and instead of staring at myself, I'm looking to the side, which is actually that side when I'm looking. They don't ship to the U.S. anymore. They have a U.S.-based store. They have, there's like Yunnan.com and then Yunnan.us, and they're the same company. So what they already have in the U.S., they will ship. But yeah, okay, so everybody's rolling in. I'm going to make some tea. We're going to get this started, and we'll figure out the Q&A from a live computer situation. It's the same for you. It's just a wider screen, and it's weird for me. Because usually I see your comments rolling by, but maybe I won't get so distracted if they are to the right, which it just looks like I pointed to the left, but I don't know what's happening here. It looks like I can do cool things like, okay, so let me put that on there, right here, and then I'm going to have to type in here. I will gift 10 memberships, and that is why I am doing it from my phone, folks, because I realized that I could do this cool thing where I am able to gift memberships. I'm able to interact more. I'm able to block people. No, my admins are still going to take care of that. But I just think it's really neat that I have more. Yeah, that's crazy. I have way more control over here on the right, and I feel like I won't miss anything. And so I created a goal here where if we hit 10 super chats, I can gift 10 memberships. And I can do all kinds of stuff. And just as a reminder, you are also able to, well, just as a reminder, I just learned it myself, but just to share knowledge, I guess people are also able to share memberships. And by the way, I changed my membership level so you can join for just 99 cents. I want it to be more accessible to people. I know shit is rough right now, but if you can't join, it's okay, because you're here right now on the Friday membership that's open to, or the Friday Q&A that's open to everybody. My brain is fried. If you are a person who's re-watching this and you become a member, you get to join on Sundays for members only Q&A, where my brain is also fried, but it's just members. It's a little less chaotic, I guess, because the chat's a little slower, right? And then but it's just a good way to get early access to videos as I'm able to upload them. The Sundays member Q&A and the higher levels I'll start doing in May. I'm excited about it, but also kind of nervous. I'm starting to do my one-on-one like consultation research where like I gift that, like I pick a winner from my members list and then they win a one-on-one consultation with me. And I'm doing it more like a research consultation because that's what my brain likes to do. So basically, like if I pick you as a random winner, you get to tell me like what specific health interest or thing. Doesn't even have to be about health, just something that you want me to research for you. And then we have like a half an hour live recorded video chat where I go over everything that I found for you and give you all that information. And then we share it with everybody. So even if you can't become a member to join that, don't worry, I will still be like sharing those with everybody. So thank you so much for becoming a member, Sandra. And that means we'll see you on Sunday for the members only Q&A. Okay. And also, this wider computer screen made me clean up a little bit. I was like, oh, it shows the whole shelf. I was like, I'm going to have to clean that shelf a little bit. You know, it just ends up being a catch-all for stuff. And so, oh, thank you so much for becoming a super Jillian Davidson. And thank you so much for the super Millie Alice Brooks. I am going to have some tea and then start answering questions, but she says, I absolutely love and appreciate your content. Well, thank you so much, Mary. I do try. I try my best, and it's hard sometimes because like I'm also a human, but I try not to like hide that. Like, and you know, when I'm having a rough time, it can be harder for me to. Oops, almost didn't start my timer. It can be harder for me to show up. You know, when you're stressed out like crazy, you're not like, oh, I want to make a bunch of videos right now. You're like, and I actually, but sometimes it helps me get out of my head and not be in the stress. Like today was really stressful for me. Actually, yesterday I was like, why haven't there been any like sales in the apothecary? And by the way, like that's all I do for a living is the apothecary. And I was like, what is happening? Why are all these checkouts dropping? And I discovered that this app, and this is just random boring shit, but it's like what has been eating me alive the past 2 days. This app that I had, this like verified app that I had downloaded to my shop to help increase the shop speed so it's not so laggy, you know, had like illegally made changes to like some back end code that crashed my checkout. And so I must have been on it for about 5 hours last night, having to do like coding in the background and script everything to make it work. And then like this morning talking with like tech support. And it was just, I'm like, I can't breathe. I'm a little stressed out, you know, it was crazy. But yeah, it was just crazy. And as a reminder, folks, when this little timer is up, then I start answering questions as soon as I have my tea. But yeah, I just, it was just, you know, stressful because, you know, the bills don't care if the money's not coming in. And so it was just one of those things. Thank you so much for also becoming a member, Mary Alice Brooks. I really appreciate that. Now, I like this new setup right off the bat for Q&A because all of your questions are on the side to me, you know, and that really, I don't know, it helps my brain not miss as much when it's scrolling past the screen and I'm looking myself in the eye. I miss things, you know. I'm going to not be able to answer all the questions. That's just the way it goes. But I see that, you know, I see it and I appreciate it. So yeah, I am just kind of, I also decided this year, I've been doing a lot of thinking about the garden and kind of like where my limits are at, like physically and like time wise. And like, I've always done like a pretty traditional garden where like you start a bunch of plants and you know this, but I've been kind of transitioning over more into like perennial stuff. And this year I'm going all in. I'm going to turn probably 90% of my front yard garden into just like a perennial cottage type garden. It'll be like food and herbs and stuff. And then I'll have a small area where I do like the seasonal stuff. I just feel like I can't do it all, you know, and I'd rather have like a garden that supplies me with a little bit and like just try to find the bigger amounts of food that I would traditionally grow from like local like suppliers and stuff like that. And I just have to like pick and choose my battle. And I would much rather have more focus on like the goats and the poultry and stuff like that than my garden. And I've always been kind of like, I don't really do house plants a whole lot. Like I like when my plants are like wild and free. And so I actually don't like mesh with the garden well in that regard, you know, and I know there's plenty of wild food everywhere, you know, and so I can just kind of choose that. And my tea is ready. And thank you so much for the super Denise Harney. She says, I just wanted to say I appreciate all you do. I also appreciate your family. Have a blessed day. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that level of kindness in general. I feel like I'm pretty lucky because most of my subscribers, most of the people that are here with me, you guys are so like understanding and allow me to be human. And the ones that roll in and say some mean shit, I just assume they haven't been following me for very long or at all, you know, and I just hide them. But everybody is really nice and understanding most of the time, you know, and that's all you can really ask for from humans is most of the time, you know. Okay. All right. A little bit of moonlight tea to calm my nervous system down because that's what caffeine does. No, the L-theanine helps a lot, actually. All right, so if you have a question, say question, and I'll start jumping in. I already see a few here. Question, April, help please. I'm having stress rashes. What can I put on them instead of topical steroids? I use zero pharmaceutical medication and would love help to keep it that way. You could do like a plantain salve, plantain oil, smashed up plantain, but also you could also try working with chamomile, both internally and externally, to knock down the histamine response. Basically, your stress rash is actually a histamine response where your mast cells have dysregulated. And so your whole body freaks out. And some people that ends up with like, you know, rashes, they can't breathe, you get like a red face and things like that. And it's pretty rough, but chamomile is pretty good for that. Okay, so question, what would cause blood vessels in the legs or anywhere to get big, fat and painful, and what can be done to reverse them? So you have varicose veins, are a type of, it could be spider veins or something like that. And usually what happens, there are two things that can cause it. So basically, let's say that you have high blood pressure that's gone unchecked, and then eventually the integrity of your veins blow out, or you start having a bunch of spider veins, because think of it like your body is trying to make overflow for the pressure, so it makes like new veins. That's what spider veins really are. But also sometimes when we're not getting enough things like vitamin K1, K2, vitamin C, and glutathione, like gelatin and stuff like that, your body can't do collagen synthesis, and when you can't make collagen, your veins get weak, and then the pressure of your heart beating expands those. So now topically, you could use like a horse chestnut cream, right? You could do something like a compress with witch hazel to try to shrink them back up, but you also need to do something internally to help that collagen synthesis. So like high dose vitamin C, things like that. I also really like nettle for toning like the vascular system. Question, what do you think about nut butters, peanut butters, etc.? They're okay. They tend to have a high mold count in them, and they tend to go rancid, so they by proxy have a lot of rancid like PUFA oils in them. Now I eat naturally occurring PUFA, but like when they do come on brain, peanut butter. When they do peanut butter, they often use heat, and that denatures it and it kills the vitamin E, so it's not great. But there is this one peanut butter brand, it's called like Crunchies from like CJ's or something like that. They use cold processing. It's pretty cool because there's no oil separation naturally versus using emulsifiers and stuff like that. But if you can grind your own, that's always best. Some health food stores have those options, or you could probably grind it at home, you know, in like a food blender or something like that. Okay, question. Husband can't smell anything for weeks now after getting the C word, we assume. Can't find the info you gave on it in the past. Yeah, that's where I was talking about ketamine. So ketamine, it's an anesthesia. It puts you under. It's anesthesia? Anesthesia, there it is. It's anesthetic. It puts you asleep, right? But we now know that in small amounts, or even in large amounts if you really have to go that way, but you can do microdosing, and it does all kinds of really neat stuff to your brain, like building new neural pathways and all that type of stuff, right? But the one thing that people don't realize is that your olfactory nervous system, what allows you to smell, is a neural pathway. And we know that the C word damages your olfactory nerve endings alongside of things like, breathing essential oils constantly, cleaners, smoking, that type of stuff damages your olfactory nerves. So, but what's really cool is that they've proven that ketamine has the capacity to turn those olfactory nerve endings back on. And I experienced that firsthand with just microdosing. They had to get a prescription for it. I personally like the company Joyous for that. They're not an affiliate or anything. It's just who we used because I like that it was self-guided. But there are other companies. You usually have to get it for like your depression or your anxiety and things like that. But it's pretty easy to do, honestly. It's like an online questionnaire and like a 10-minute Zoom meeting, and then they send you your prescription. Thank you so much for the super Misty. Question, do you think we're all deficient in copper? Yes and no, but especially yes, because everybody takes zinc like it's candy. Now we need zinc, but it's better if you get it from oysters and red meat, because what's also in that type of food-based is copper. Zinc and copper live in a really delicate balance, right? So if you take zinc constantly, you will tank your copper. But if you eat super amounts of copper-rich foods, you'll tank your zinc, right? They live kind of in balance. And in nature doesn't make a mistake. They're always naturally in balance, but people eat zinc like candy, and then they're like, I'm tired all the time, and all these other issues, including histamine and loss of smell and things like that. Okay, question. What should we ask our doctor to be able to get ketamine or LDN prescription? Your doctor will probably never prescribe you ketamine. You would have to go online and do it. It's a pretty alternative therapy, but you might get LDN. But you can do that online for like $40 too, honestly, if you don't feel like fighting your doctor. LDN is really fantastic, for things like autoimmune conditions and chronic pain. So if you do have that as a situation, your doctor might be open to it. But honestly, sometimes, and I get it because we want our insurance to pay for it, but it's like, if we're really needing the support, is it worth the months of arguing with your doctor, or the maybe $50, $100 online that you might have to pay, right? You just kind of have to weigh your pro and con. I know it's hard with budget, and that's a lot of money, I know, these days, but it's just I started looking at that in regards to paying health insurance. I would pay thousands of dollars a month for health insurance and not have access to a doctor. And if I did not access to a doctor that will even talk to me about anything. Okay, so question, tips for persistent raspy voice after cold or flu. That's really interesting, and I kind of wonder if it's super long and persistent, you might have a little bit of scar tissue in there if you coughed really hard. One time my dad coughed so hard he broke his ribs, and now if he gets sick and he coughs, it's really easy for him to break a rib. I'm just that is just bad luck. But you could start working with something like comfrey infusion. I like vitamin C as well, alongside of gelatin for the glutathione. Vitamin C can actually help reduce scar buildup, right? You could also try a mullein infusion in case there's just something lingering down in there and it's not scar tissue. Okay, so we're about halfway through now. I don't know if we are going to meet our goal, but that is okay. But let me do something. I'm going to do something pretty neat here because I've never done it before. I can scroll. Oh, now it's not there. Super cool. Now I can't do it. I guess I can't now. It was there last time. Well, I guess I don't get to do the fun thing that I had planned, engage with your audience. Oh gosh, I was on here last time too, and it allowed me. I'm so sorry. So, okay, I'm just going to keep answering questions like normal then. We'll try it again. Okay, so question, my husband struggles with gout. What can he help for that? Well, he's got high uric acid levels, so I'm sure you guys are avoiding all the foods rich in purine, but I really like tart cherry concentrate for that, as well as corn silk is pretty good for helping your body push out the uric acid levels, right? And then anything like cleavers or calendula to support the kidney function, because that is where your uric acid levels are leaving from. Okay. Question. Husband has thyroid cancer. I'm sorry. Had his thyroid removed at 2 surgeries to remove lymph nodes. His numbers are still up showing cancer. Would cleavers be beneficial or harmful to him? I mean, anytime we support our lymphatic system with something like cleavers, it's beneficial, right? Because your body's able to clear things. But actually, what you might look into is the LDN we were talking about, the low dose naltrexone. They're using it successfully all over the world, besides the U.S., for cancer treatments. And it's really cheap. It's really affordable. It also helps with pain, and that's really common for people who have gone through any sort of cancer treatment. It helps regulate your immune system and all that type of stuff. And you can go to the LDN Research Trust, I think is what it's called, or foundation. And they have all kinds of studies and links and things up that help you learn about like how it's helping with this or that. And those people are really dedicated to teaching people about it. Okay. So let me jump down here. Question. Cardio turns my feet beet red and stings. I know benzos withdrawal can do that, 20% lift. Could also be MCAS, anything that would help. You're probably releasing a bunch of histamine, right? But also, you're coming off of benzos. I wouldn't do cardio right now. Like, cardio is really stressful for your body. If you want to exercise and you want to like help your body heal, I would work on low impact weight training. Cardio is just stress. Honestly, like, people think that cardio is fantastic, but it really harms the body. And your body is telling you that. It's like, hey, this is releasing way too much, and your body's already in a hyper stressed out state because you're coming off of benzos. I would switch focus. I would switch to low impact, like muscle building, if you want to really help your body. Question. Having chronic days, long migraines, vestibular migraines, loss of balance, hard to focus brain. Even after pain goes away, the aura lasts. Taking minerals, also dealing with histamines. Yeah, migraines are tricky because there are so many causes. Right, like finding the underlying cause. Have you looked into like estrogen dominance as a concept for migraine issues? It's really interesting. I've seen people talk about like they were just like you. They'd be like down and out and have to go to the emergency room for like those migraine shots, and then once they started lowering their estrogen and started working with something like Progest E, their migraines went away. It's really crazy stuff. Okay, so question. I love the gel too, but will you ever restock your magnesium cream or maybe teach us how to make it? Yeah, I will. What's been really hard for me is I end up having to I can't make it myself anymore just for like physical, like I promised my body I wouldn't grind anymore. And so I'm getting help and I'm working with this really awesome facility, but they have like big quantity limits. And so I have to make like 2,500 of anything I make. And so I just like in the budget have to slowly release things. And the gel was cheaper for me to make in regards of like ingredient amount than the cream was. And so I was like, well, I can get the gel out first. But I do plan on bringing back all of my most popular creams. Right now, what's in the works is my hemp oil pain salve, my bare lip balm, and my lash serum. And then after that, I'll do 3 more. And then it just takes time. It's crazy just because I'm not rich. If I had if someone wants to gift me millions of dollars, I could like have all the things back at once, but that's my main restriction right now. Okay, so question. Me and the kids have had itchy rashes since January. What the doctor gave us didn't work. Any ideas to help? I assume you've already gone through the process of like trying to eliminate all the possibilities from your home. Like you've changed over to like 0 essential oils. You've gotten rid of all the chemicals. You've tested your home for mold. Right. You really you could probably do like a chamomile infused oil. It would probably work for the itching, but you need to find that underlying cause, especially if you're all having it. There's something going on. Have you checked your house for mites, like bird mites? Have you checked, like an air quality test or what has changed? What did you change? And I'm sure you've gone through all of that, but if you haven't, just keep digging because whatever I tell you to do topically, it's just a Band-Aid. You need to find what's happening within your body. It could be food you're eating, anything new. Think back to when it started and what changed, right? Okay, April, I'm setting up WS and you noted fulfillment center. Do you maintain control of products? Do you supply fulfillment CTR with the products? I asked you to sample from FG incorrect. I'm not sure what all of the code means, but so I use a fulfillment company, and they're one of the few, they're in Boise, Idaho, who is FDA registered. And so like we have control over the whole back end, and everything is like kept in like a temperature controlled facility because the FDA requires that. But yeah, if you're looking into it, you do maintain control over your products. And if they don't give you a back end to monitor like your stock levels, run. You need to have like an integrated system with your shop that shows you exactly how much product you have left. You can set up limits, you know where it's kept at. You should be able to tell them all types of stuff. My place uses barcodes, so everything has to have a barcode, and scan in, scan out before they put into anything. I use Verde Fulfillment if you're looking for somebody who's decent. Okay, so question, going off of the pill after 30 years, suggestions. I'm 50 things. Well, take it slow. There's going to be some Facebook groups and things like that of people coming off of birth control pills. You could start working with wild yam or even actually pine pollen. Your estrogen levels are probably through the roof right now, even though you're in your 50s, just because they've been synthetically pumping you full of it. Take care of your liver. Make sure that you are doing things like drinking dandelion root tea, trying to get the rancid seed oils out of your diet, you know, and manage your stress levels and things like that. It'll probably be a little bit of a rough ride, but maybe not. Oh, manufacturing. Somebody asked about manufacturing. Okay. Oh, you mean, so you confuse fulfillment with manufacturing. Fulfillment is the people who ship my stuff for me. Manufacturing, in regards to like what they're making for me, yeah, I control all of that. Like it's my recipe, it's my process, it's my approval, it's everything. Like basically it's just bigger equipment that I don't have, but it's also in an FDA registered super duper amazing facility, right? And so it's everything. When you do product outsourcing like that, as long as you're being ethical about it, you're involved in every single step. Okay, so let's see. Question. Is there a tea that you can drink daily to lower blood pressure? I've been on meds for about 2 months and I despise it. Yeah. What's crazy is you can just make hibiscus tea and drink it every day. They've shown like actual studies that if you drink at least 2 cups of hibiscus tea within like a week, your point will drop by 10. Right. And that's just starting. But hibiscus tea is amazing for that. But also check out the book called The Salt Cure. Most people are told salt is causing them to have high blood pressure, but actually it could be low right type of salts, right? Like I'm not talking about the table salt. That stuff is nasty, but like look into like how high blood pressure can also be a symptom of not having enough sodium. And, you know, normal doctors will be like, oh, that's not accurate. But we know a lot more than what they've been taught these days because they don't really expand their knowledge, right? Because it doesn't make them money. Okay, so question. I've been loving your videos for 5 years now. I've been meaning to ask what your opinion on frankincense is. Topically, oil infusion, been making matcha infused oil and been thinking about adding it. Yeah, frankincense is fantastic. It doesn't need to be concentrated. So we're talking about real frankincense resin here, not the essential oil. It's already strong enough. And it infuses really well with an oil. You'll need a hot, long process to really like melt it down into it. But you could actually use the stovetop in this regard because you're not going to strain it out. You're just trying to melt it into the oil. So it becomes just like a carrier oil, and the frankincense itself will stay in there. And it's pretty fantastic for things like topical like skin issues. If you need something healed up, it's pretty good for immunity too, but that's more internally, right? But it's really antibacterial, antifungal, all that type of stuff. Okay. Question, is there a possibility that menopause would make my butt muscle atrophy? Yeah. Ever since I started menopause, my poor hiney hurts to walk anywhere, even in the house, and I'm exhausted to the bone. Yeah, no. There are 2 things that can happen. So there's like this thing called like cortisol wasting. When women go into menopause, sometimes your cortisol levels climb really high. And one thing that cortisol does is it's a stress hormone, but like I just have to give the whole picture here. When you don't eat in general, like if you wake up in the middle of the night or you're like fasting, you're starving yourself in some way, what happens is your body says, oh no, the brain needs glucose at every second of its life or it'll die. So I'm going to increase cortisol levels. So I can start stealing the glucose from your muscles, which is also a butt muscle, all of your muscles, right? And it's a really hard process on your body. And so it starts eating away your muscle mass, right? And so cortisol causes muscle wasting. Sometimes in menopause, even if you are eating plenty of carbohydrates and things like that, you can still be in a high cortisol state, and it starts muscle wasting. And so you're eating your own butt, basically. Right. Now you can offset that by making sure that you're getting enough complex, like healthy carbohydrates, like squash, fruit, honey, maple syrup, things like that, well soaked and prepared grains, beans, things like that. But also consider getting like a spit-based cortisol test. I like the Everywell test. It's like a women's hormone test, but it also tests cortisol. It's a pretty decent test to see what your rhythms are doing out the day. Because if you go to the doctor, they're just going to test your morning levels, and that doesn't give you accurate insight at all, because your cortisol is supposed to be high in the morning, and then it slowly goes down in the afternoon, and then it goes lower and lower in the evening. But sometimes your cortisol can look normal in the morning but be really high at night or in the afternoon. So you have to see what the whole rhythm is doing, and that will probably help on your first step. Question: do I need to powder the frankincense before placing it in the carrier oil? You could. You're just going to melt it down, though, so it'll just melt down, but it might melt down faster if you powder it. Yeah. Let's see. Question. Oh, thank you so much for becoming a member, Kira Brown. Question: best way to support my kidneys? Well, there's a lot to it, but when it comes to like herbs, I really like calendula and cleavers. Those are my top pick for like kidney support, lymphatic support, getting things up and going. But one thing that's really overlooked is people think of like water when it comes to like kidney health. Right? They think of like drinking enough water. But if you drink too much water, you can actually hurt your kidneys. Right? And so you need to make sure that you're drinking like mineral rich things too, like nourishing herbal infusions, adding a little bit of sea salt to your water, and coconut water, things like that. You need to be getting more minerals in, electrolytes in general, making your own homemade electrolytes. That will go a really long way towards like supporting your kidney. And then there's this stuff called chitosan, just like it sounds. It's like actually made out of shrimp shells. So if you have a shrimp allergy, you can't use it. But it's really interesting. They've shown, and it's just a supplement, basically. They've shown that it like improves and reverses early stage CKD, which is chronic kidney disease. So like it supports kidneys really well. It also helps your body get rid of like toxic bile accumulation. So your body pulls cholesterol out of your blood to make more bile, because that's how your bile is made, was with cholesterol. Okay, I love your green tea collagen lotion. My face has improved in just 2 weeks. Thank you. I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah, that's the first one I went with when getting help to make the bigger batches. I was like, let's try this one, and then we'll keep bringing more of them back. Somebody said I'm geeked out for the purple dead nettle popping up. I ate her raw and almost instantly felt calm. Yeah, she's a good one. She is definitely an easy one to find too. People are like, she's not around here. I'm like, have you looked? She's probably around you somewhere. Question, for the loss of smell, what do you consider microdose of ketamine? How much? What they prescribe or split? Oh, what they prescribe is a microdose, right? So they'll go off of like your body weight and things like that. And then you try like the smallest amount. Usually it's like this tiny little square, and you cut it into fours, and then that fourth is your microdose. Some people need less, some people need more. You only really feel the effects for 25 minutes maybe, but it also helps with like depression and anxiety and things like that too. Okay, so question: what kind of detoxing, if any, is okay for breastfeeding mothers? Well, just focus on like supporting your natural detox pathways. Like, you got to remember that your liver isn't a car filter. You can't like clean it out, right? You just need to support its natural function. So while you're breastfeeding, you can eat all the bitter foods you want. You can use apple cider vinegar. You can do things like dandelion root tea in the morning, right? And that's going to help you detox just fine. You can eat well-soaked oatmeal for the beta-glucans, so your body is binding to the bile, and help yourself take a shit every day. Honestly, that's the best way to detox. We already have all the systems in place. We're easy to sell to because they make women believe their bodies are dirty, right? So really it's just about the right type of fibers that bind to bile and going to the bathroom every day and supporting your natural liver functions, and your body will naturally detox on its own. I also like modified fruit pectin, but you also need to make sure that you're going to the bathroom every day before you take that, because it can be kind of binding in that way. Thank you so much for the super Jeffrey R. I appreciate you, April. Thank you for all the time you put in to help others. Well, I don't really know what else to do. I don't know how to not. I mean, this isn't just a thing that I do here. I have to like contain myself like in the store, or like if people ask me, I'm like, because I just have all this information. It doesn't even have to be about health. It could just be about like random things. My daughter told me the other day while we were out at lunch, she was like, you need just like gave her some random fact. She was like, what'd you say, hon? You said, I need just like a booklet or something where I just write it down and just call it like April's Brain and eventually publish it to stuff that comes out. Okay, so question, why do I instantly get pounding headaches as soon as I smell perfume or cologne? Because it's all made with horrible chemicals, including essential oils, which are not actually essential oils. That's a marketing name. They're called VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and they are bad for you. Okay, so question, what herbal tea will give an energy boost towards the end of the day? Well, you could certainly do a white tea or a green tea, anything from the Camellia sinensis family, black tea, but there's not going to really be one that doesn't have caffeine in it, right? Now you could start drinking nettle on a continuous basis to support your adrenal function, right? And that by proxy would give you more energy. But if you're wanting something that just gives you energy right then and there, it's going to have caffeine in it. But the cool thing about green tea, Camellia sinensis, and which is the same as black tea and white tea, just different processes, is that she also has L-theanine in her. And L-theanine buffers how fast your liver can uptake caffeine. So this little tiny pot of tea I've had will give me longer, more sustained energy than a cup of coffee will, and it won't make me feel jittery. I can't do, like, if I drink a cup of coffee right now, you'd have to take me to the fucking hospital because I would have some sort of mental breakdown, right? I don't need to go any faster. But I do like a little bit of support on like my really tired days without over pushing my system, and L-theanine in the green tea helps with that, right? Because it also calms down like glutamate receptors and overexcitability and things like that. Okay, let's see. Question, I saw that one. Maybe it's back. It frustrates me so much because I was going to gift a bunch of memberships and then that option went away for me right here. So I can just give myself a super sticker or a super chat, but they take it out of my own bank. So it doesn't really do me any good to buy myself a sticker or some sort of weird YouTube money laundering thing though. Question, I have Hashimoto's and I'm trying to calm my immune system and support my liver for T4 conversion to T3. What can you recommend to assist the usuals? Turmeric, ginger, milk thistle, dandelion. Yeah, that's a pretty good start. I would start looking at your diet. Right. I would start looking at your diet too. Of course, herbs can like support your liver in the conversion, but there's a big correlation between like PUFAs, like rancid seed oils, polyunsaturated fatty acids. I'm talking like canola, grapeseed, all that type of, safflower, that stuff can really block the conversion in your liver, amongst a bunch of other horrible stuff for your health, these polyunsaturated fatty acids that are synthetically derived, right? I'm not worried about PUFA from fish and nuts and things like that. I'm worried about it when they like grow a field of canola and then it's rancid and they press it and they heat extract it and they deodorize it so you don't know it's rancid and then they put it in your food. Right. But if you haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet, that is a good place to start. But you could also look into Tudka. It's not really an herb. It's more like a bile salt, and it's really pretty good at supporting liver function in general. Okay, so question, how can I use motherwort to help wean off of nicotine vapes other than herbal allies that will help with withdrawal and a reset process? Yeah, motherwort is pretty good for calming you down when you're freaking out. But did you know, like people always say, oh, try sunflower seeds. And then they say it's just because it keeps your hands busy. But don't get the ones in the shells. Get the normal sunflower seeds that have already been deshelled so you can just eat them. So they used to think that sunflower seeds had nicotine in them, but that's long been debunked, but what they do know is that there's a particular phenol compound in sunflower seeds that hits the nicotine receptors in your brain. So if you start eating sunflower seeds pretty regularly, like at least, a half, 1/4 cup a day, and then you start slowly weaning off of the nicotine, your body still thinks that it's getting the nicotine. Right? Does that make sense? It's kind of like how California Poppy doesn't have opioids in her, but she has similar like latex compounds, so it tricks the opioid brain into thinking that it's getting opioids even though there's no opioids present, right? And so you can definitely start working with the sunflower seeds on a consistent basis, and then use the motherwort when you start feeling angry, and consider getting some Mullen or something like that and rolling your own. So while you're vaping and not smoking. But if you're smoking cigarettes versus vaping, you could start rolling your own like tobacco alternative, because you kind of want to break the addiction before you break the habit. So you might also have to like find a vape that doesn't have tobacco in it, or like lesser and less percentage, so you can wean down that way, so you still have the habit that you can break after the addiction, if that makes sense. Okay. So I think I've been talking. I know I've been talking for about 40 minutes. I will get the live chat on here figured out. I might have to pop back on at some point to figure it out. I might pop back on tomorrow or figure it out on Sunday with members, but I guess it won't really work I can't gift members a membership. So, but I will figure it out. Thank you so much for your support, folks. If you would like to support my capacity to be a real human, keep tea in my pot, roof over my head, do consider becoming a member. It's literally less than $1 to join for the first one, so it's just a few bucks. There's a higher level if you want to, but you can join for 99 cents. It's just a way to show your support and help me keep things rolling. You can also check out my apothecary. I've got books, I've got synergism capsules, I've got something for everybody hanging out in there. If you can't do any of that because times are tough, I totally get it. But you can also make sure, even if you can or can't do that, to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and share. Sharing is super important because it helps get my work out there. It helps people realize that they're smart enough to do this themselves. It tells the algorithm that I'm worth showing to people. So it really does make a difference. It really does make a big difference for my channel. So thank you so much for watching, folks, and I'll see you next time. Bye.